Have you ever wondered where Martian Manhunter got that name John Jones from? Well, in the Rebirth continuity, they pretty much give us some lore for that. He had died, and Martian Manhunter pretty much took over his life. And he pretty much does what Mars does. Like on Mars, when one dies, another wears their shape for one cycle. In a way, he absorbed John Jones' essence in him. This pretty much was lore on why he could not stop being John Jones. Imagine being so strong with your versatile abilities to where even strong beings like Raven, who I have a lot of respect for and I have videos about on my channel, try to pull up on Martian Manhunter. He simply counters her with his own blast, multitasking while also doing an almighty push using telekinetic force blast from another direction. So Martian Manhunter knows about manga. Character, heroes, and things of that such, warriors that look mechanical, use a blade, and things of that such. What if I told you that Martian Manhunter can pretty much mimic what he sees in a manga? Because some folks thought that he was the Jade hero from the manga. So Martian Manhunter said, oh, I'll humor you and become that Jade warrior from the manga. Yeah, Martian Manhunter has a lot of abilities. So he decided to borrow the mass from the planet and grow in size. The metal debris became a part of him, and he was now armored. Yes, he's very versatile. Get bigger than buildings, to attack beings, even when he's the size of a building. He applied what he saw in the manga to much success and started boxing it out with a being like this. Martian Manhunter has like a lot of different forms he can turn into. Like when he decides to not hold back no more, he can give himself blades, shields, attack you from his chest without you seeing what's coming, kicking you, and to just trap you like this. If I told you Martian Manhunter solos all of your favorite Justice League members, you probably would think I'm crazy and I'm a tard, right? Or I'm a fanboy, right? Well, he has an awakened state or transformation that the writers currently have forgot about, to where he has his base state, which is the form we always see him in, but then he has this Super Saiyan Legendary transformation where he solos everybody, your favorite characters. Furnace. Like, he's basically Martian Manhunter on drugs because he did Superman like this, and he's not afraid to spam and use all his abilities at the same time. Hitting Flash, using energy projection. Superman is still sleepy, by the way. Saying he's in shock, shape-shifting and turning into different people to get the jump on Green Lantern here, damaging them all. Yo, you probably can't believe this is Martian the Manhunter, can you? And he's the one that soloed all the white Martians. Yeah, Martians that can give Kryptonians issues, which you're going to see in this video. He soloed them on his own. Later in the video, I'm going to show you Martian Manhunter in his base form scuffle with Leaguers and fighting speed and just physicals and scuffling with them, not necessarily just beating them down. This is just a straight up beatdown in this overpowered state. This is crazy seeing all your favorites on lockdown like this. It was even stated, without Green Lantern intervening with the special mind countering technique, it would have killed all of them. This is coming from Superman. But my bad, everybody. Am I going too fast? For you all, Martian Manhunter looking like a straight up horror movie character. Scary to think about. You got to respect his might. Let's get it. When it comes to DC Comics, there's a multiverse with a whole bunch of different versions of characters that we love. The Earth, when it comes to DC Comics, has a lot of similarities to our own Earth, with one of the major differences being superheroes that live among us or throughout the planet. And there's even some fictional places that don't exist on our Earth, like Gotham City and stuff. Even though there's different Earths, the main Earth that we're used to is home to some of our favorite characters. One of these beings being Martian the Manhunter himself. Just like his title suggests, Martian, the Manhunter, is from another planet known as Mars. Due to big multiversal events and stuff, DC loves doing retcons, reboots, changing the whole universe and stuff. But for the most part, Martian Manhunter in both continuities, the past or the present, he's still very similar when it comes to his superpowers and how strong he is. The reason why this video will be going over both these versions of Martian Manhunter, despite the retcons, because despite the retcons, his power level is still ridiculous. Like, no matter if we're talking about old stuff, New 52, Rebirth, he's still a team buster, still be fighting Superman tier type of beings, even fighting multiple leaguers at the same time, which you're going to also see in this vid. Like, seriously, both these eras, he's fighting teams of heroes regardless of the era. Old stuff, he can help move the Earth, and newer stuff, he helped Superman move something 10 times bigger than the Earth. You see where I'm going? Just enjoy the vid. It doesn't matter which continuity we're talking about. Both are still ridiculously overpowered. Martian the Manhunter. But let's analyze how strong he is, shall we? They're one of them very powerful races that's extremely versatile, because it's funny how everybody talks about how overpowered Kryptonians are, but nobody talks about how overpowered the Martian race would be if they all teamed up. One could say it was like the Martian army. It was even stated Martian Manhunter is the best of his kind, so whatever the other Martians can do, he can do better when it comes to different abilities and stuff to a high degree, one could say. This is kind of proven. Don't be surprised if you see me bring up white Martians over and over again in this video, because you can kind of get an idea of how strong Martian Manhunter is because of these white Martians. This is proof that he's one of the best Martians of all time, or the best Martian of all time, because we literally see him slugfested with multiple white Martians, and he's handling them, holding his own to show his strength, fighting skill. And this is not the last time I will be bringing up white Martians in this video. I mean, him and the Martians are strong in their traditional sense, but he's got so many versatile abilities where he doesn't even need to necessarily just punch you or something with his muscles or physical attacks. He has a ridiculously large range on his telepathic stuff, or to be able to go through people's heads. He can scan an entire planet, and he can not only reach out through his mind and look through the entire planet's minds, but he can also do it on a galactic scale, an entire galaxy of minds he can feel. You're probably thinking, oh, this is just hacksy. Well, it's easy to underlook mental type of feats because a lot of these Justice League characters that I'm going to show you him use this mind stuff on has resisted mind stuff before. I mean, Flash has to fight a mental being known as Gorilla Grodd. So Martian Manhunter is above average when it comes to his psionic power. If beings that usually can resist this type of stuff, beings with crazy willpower, Martian Manhunter can affect their mind, erasing all the memories of the Justice League in this occasion.
The fact he can affect the entire Justice League and make them all think they're fighting him for real when they're really not lets you know one could say he can beat members of the League without even necessarily getting near them with mind hacks if they don't resist in time.
You know, white Martians are like their natural enemies. White Martians even compliment his strength of how he has crazy telepathic power. These white Martians were apparently amped up 1,000,000 times more powerful than normal, but Martian Manhunter can still resist this type of BS. Their combined telepathic might. There's like a saying I always say, having a strong will is like the ultimate counter to mind control and stuff like that. Regardless of all this, you know how Green Lanterns are literally the living embodiment of will. Martian the Manhunter can still control Green Lantern beings like John Stewart. Somebody we know has a lot of will because there was a point where his willpower was exceeding the Ring's power capabilities. His psionic ability gets so deep to the point where I guess one could say that the mind and soul are linked because he can technically remove somebody's soul out of somebody's body with his psionic abilities. So yeah, soul manipulation. Evil characters like Joker, he can make him sane. He can keep top tier beings sleep like Vishnu, so he doesn't end all of creation stated here. So it even works on top tier reality warper gods. Other overpowered beings like gods of wrath, he can enter his mind. Martian the Manhunter can forcibly enter beings like Spectre's mind. This is a cosmic multiversal entity type being. He just took the Spectre here because he said so. He has a technique that's so powerful. It's called the Mayavana experience. It's a technique he can only be used once in a lifetime. He did this against a extremely powerful telepath known as Despero, a Team Buster type character. It stated the Martian ability to reach into another's consciousness and create a reality more powerful than which we take to be reality. It's no wonder that Despero called the Martian the most powerful or troublesome of them all. But yeah, this is a one-time technique. He probably won't be able to do it again. Not to mention writers probably forgot about this even after the retcon. So don't be expecting him to be doing this in more recent stuff. But he doesn't really need this. I mean, he can still do mind stuff to mess up your brain anyway, so it'd be like that.
On one-on-one with Despero, Battle of Titans, when it comes to minds, you see them go at it. Despite Despero being like a Team Buster type character, for the most part, Martian Manhunter actually got the win and said night-night to you. Made Despero scream in agony.
This cosmic being known as Perpetua, a being that can hold the entirety of the DC multiverse in her hands with help and the planet's support. Martian the Manhunter in newer stuff, Rebirth Comics was able to give him the amp necessary to mind smash Perpetua, a multiversal entity, a being that's above the Anti-Monitor. He did this in plank time to pretty much get a psionic advantage over such a cosmic being.
You guys know Mixie, the fifth dimensional imp, right? The guy that can hold galaxies, hold universes, and play with them. Imps in general can play with universes and stuff. He makes Mxyzptlk subconsciously say his name backwards so it would send him to another dimension because that's like the only weakness he has, neutralizing his abilities doing so. How's he affecting these cosmic beings? Martian Manhunter, you broken with this telepathy.
How he can go intangible as well and can go invisible and intangible. So imagine him using this and intangibility at the same time. You see him going intangible to go through walls here. Just a common theme. Even if you're strong, how do you harm him if you can't touch him? You know, it's like even beings that are similar to him, like Martian Vision, he can even phase and become intangible from. Intangibility comes in handy because there's this force field where even Superman can't bust through with his punches. Neither Superman or Green Lantern can punch through this shield. Martian Manhunter can just phase through this energy shield and touch the being that's behind it. He has his own form of blast power, blast from his eyes, laser eyes, Martian vision, heat vision. He has X-ray vision too. What is he, Superman or something, where he can see through solid objects, Martian eyes? Along with this type of blast power from his eyes, he can shoot blasts from his hands like psychic blasts, telekinesis type stuff. Like in this occasion, literally stated, he uses his telekinetic grip. He allows himself to be pulled along with its inertia of this ship, for example. If a teammate falls, he can just catch him with telekinesis, levitating beings. Seems to be something he can do even in newer comics. While he's using martial vision, he can blast you away with like an almighty push. So tell me, why does he need super strength when he can psionically restrain beings with telekinesis that are as strong as Black Adam without having to touch him? He can shape change things all the way down to his DNA to where a virus won't affect him because he shape changed his DNA, because he can imprison the cell into containing in his alien structure. He can absorb diseases or plagues because of this. His system will neutralize the cell. I'll become a living prison for it. New stuff proves that his body can handle pathogens. Yeah, because he can alter his DNA and get stuff like that. That's just how Beast John is. Oh yeah, he can shapeshift his limbs, so one could say he can increase his punching power by making his limbs bigger and stuff like that, giving himself more mass. You're going to see this a lot more in this video, not just here. We see him do this type of stuff when he stretches and fights beings that are strong. He has superhuman durability. Obviously, he can use this elasticity, the stretchiness, to make his body more harder to hit solidly, like he's like rubbery here. He's extremely versatile to be able to continue like this. He has extremely absurd regeneration. Even being a splat on the wall, he can regenerate from bullcrap like this. Even when you think you killed him, he can put half his consciousness into his hand, to where even that's enough to reconstitute himself and be whole again. In this occasion, Wonder Woman, a powerhouse, I'm gonna bring back up later. He got sliced up by this powerful godlike being like Wonder Woman, and he was okay after being sliced up. Apparently, the only way to truly kill him is to smash every atom in his body one by one.
Even if you shoot his organs out, for example, like he can just grab his own heart. I mean, because he doesn't really need the heart and stuff. Yeah, it's just for aesthetics. And he can regenerate and recuperate like nothing.
The normal superpowers: super strength, super reflexes. And his weakness to fire is psychosomatic. It's not actually a real weakness. It's just in his head. PTSD type of thing when it comes to Martian Manhunter. This didn't change in new continuity stuff, because even in new continuity, they even mentioned that it's in his psyche. It's because of his own guilt is the reason why it hurts him. During the Rebirth era, I'm not really distinguishing between the two. Both versions of him are still overpowered, like him bending metal here.
Can get bigger than the buses, the lift of the buses as a dragon.
These huge tanks he can mess up to show his raw strength. Easy.
And newer stuff, same light work stuff, to be able to shapeshift, to get bigger, make tendrils, to get big enough to hold the entire plane itself, to show his strength. I've already kind of showed this stuff, but he can go liquidy and just kind of meld with the mech to take over the mech. So he is the mech. Like, you see how green it looks is him. It's all the Manhunter. He's becoming the War City's brain. Like,
let's talk about his physical strength when it comes to his muscles. He can literally lift up buildings and make them fall over. So right off gate, we can all honestly say that he can lift hundreds of thousands of tons because he can lift a building up, right? This kind of strength for a powerhouse of the Justice League is actually considered light work. He's done this stuff consistently. On top of him being able to lift up houses or buildings or destroy them, he can just blast them away if he doesn't want to just lift them up and destroy them with his muscles. He has the blast power to just blast it apart if he wishes. But let's be honest, he can lift up cities, countries, and even continents, because these three powerhouses, Martian Manhunter grew extra arms. Oh yeah, of course, Martian Manhunter can fly. They use their strength, raw power in general, to help move the entirety of the planet Earth, proving he has the raw strength to pull at least 1/3 of the weight of the Earth. This proves he could definitely drag the moon by himself, because there's a drastic size difference between the moon and the Earth. If he can help pull 1/3 the weight of the Earth, he can definitely pull the moon. Or in other words, if the moon was to land on his back, he would be able to carry it on his own with his might. That's like saying he could ride or fly with multiple continents on his back. Martian Manhunter, along with a lot of other powerful Justice League members, was a helpful asset in helping the moon stay in orbit. You know, it was like a team effort, but it kind of lets you know that Martian Manhunter isn't dead weight and they all are holding their own ground, doing what they have to do. Martian Manhunter is strong enough to help with this moon-sized structure. His body, on top of his regeneration, can withstand a lot of pressure. Like, this black hole didn't make him into goo, so it shows how resistant his body in general is. Even in newer continuity stuff, when it comes to planet moving, there was this mothership that was bigger than the planet itself. This is not just a statement, it's actually visual proof that this mothership is bigger than the planet itself. It was about to collide with Earth. And you guys already know where I'm going with this. Martian Manhunter, Superman working together to halt this collision and stop something this big from hurtling into the planet. So imagine a big ship that's bigger than the planet Earth, Brainiac ship that's heading towards the Earth at 36,000 miles per hour. And Martian Manhunter had to stop something that was heading towards Earth at these speeds. Of course, he had help with Superman though, but this is well above the strength needed to stop something moving this fast that's this much bigger than Earth. Would take way more force than to move the planet itself. I would estimate that he would need way more strength than several dozens of Earth to be able to stop something moving this fast towards the Earth. I I would estimate or guesstimate that Martian Manhunter would need the strength to be able to push back several 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Earths to be able to stop something that's moving towards Earth this fast, that's this much bigger than Earth. With all this physical strength I already showed you, but he has training on top of all this. His training was long and exacting. The memories of other Manhunters were given to him. Oh yeah, and by the way, this occasion I already mentioned, this was technically a training session. So he does train with Wonder Woman, other powerhouses of the League. Oh yeah, in his lore and the handbooks and stuff that state about DC characters, they state he's an excellent hand-to-hand combatant. We've seen him wield a trident before. Usually he wouldn't need a weapon because he can just make his arm into a weapon or some crap, really. Smacks a Green Lantern with it. Yes, Martian Manhunter can use a blade. Isn't that funny? He doesn't really need a sword because he can shapeshift, make his literal body into an actual sword or weapon by transforming with a shield right here to block and best you with his own body. Without necessarily needing a blade, his body is the blade when it turns back to normal. He can fool other people, pretend to be Wonder Woman, for example, and use a blade. Let me stop. With the blade occasions. And here he shapeshifted into an exact duplicate of Wonder Woman. Martian's study, which is part of the reason why Martian Manhunter is so skilled and strong, too. All this strength, you see him using it with his punches and stuff. Oh, man, when I talk about his punching power, I haven't even got to that deeply yet in this video. He was taking out all these parademons with just straight punches. Beast Boy, somebody I have high respect for. Martian Manhunter can make him sleepy, even though he's in hippo form, with the amount of force he can hit with. Metal doors he can just fly through. Lightweight feats of him fighting and they make a crater from their fight. If he doesn't want to hit you directly, he can make a big shockwave by hitting the floor to send you all back that way. Just being like Shaggy Man, who's strong, for example, he uses super speed to drill him through walls. I think you guys get the idea. When you get punched by him, you just get tossed flying. And we're talking about a guy that has the strength to do a thunderclap to make shockwaves in every direction to send beings away. When he decides to just ram with crazy force, he can create decent sized explosions. Size means nothing when somebody's as strong as Martian Manhunter, even this giant that's ridiculously large. His punches can shatter it with his punching power. And there's a giant occasion here he blocks attacks from with his arm to show size means nothing. I mentioned this earlier already, but I'll bring it up again. Martian Manhunter decided to mimic something from a manga. There was like this Jade Warrior hero that was in the manga, of course. Martian Manhunter decided to become mechanical by changing form, by applying what he saw in the manga, like I mentioned earlier, because this guy literally used his Martian ability to become the Jade Warrior they saw in the manga. He explains it like this. He borrowed the mass from the planet and grew in size. The metal debris became a part of him and he was now armored. So this is how he fought this mechanical being, becoming another mechanical robotic type thing, being as big as buildings. So yeah, he can use his powers in versatile ways. He shapeshifted, got larger to crush Batman's battle suit in the dirt. Here you see them two scuffling with each other. In regards to the powerhouses of the League, everybody has their favorites, of course. But when it comes to Martian Manhunter, where he ranks according to some of the heaviest hitters like Green Lantern, Superman, Wonder Woman, he's somewhere in their ballpark with these characters. And I'm talking about in just muscle. I'm not even talking about hacksy stuff. Like he's up there with the powerhouses in pure muscle, how hard they can punch, stuff like that. Cause sure, he doesn't need to punch you or blast you with his energy projectile type of blast, but if he does decide to punch you, they're lethal. Even though these powerhouses work together, Wonder Woman, Superman, and Martian Manhunter, even though they did work together, moving the planet, there's statements or implications that Superman can do it by himself, implying that Martian Manhunter, if we assume he's somewhere in Superman's strength range, he could technically move the planet by himself as well. I don't see no reason why he shouldn't be this strong. I mean, the feats get crazier, right? Superman's vice grip is strong enough to hold a black hole in his hand. The black hole that would have destroyed the entire solar system if Superman didn't contain it with his grip. This implies that he can lift way more than just a planet, something that can destroy the entire solar system. If he has the grip to contain this with his fist, what the heck is his bicep strength? What the heck is his chest strength? It's like whatever his grip or hand squeezing power is, he has to be able to lift even more. Same with Martian the Manhunter. In Superman's opinion, he believes John Jones is at the top of the list of people that he would be afraid to fight due to probably a lot of different factors, his strength, his haxy type abilities, stating he's the most powerful being on the face of the earth. Martian Manhunter himself even agrees. He says, I'm as powerful as Superman. That's why he's lifting his building up, so he's implying muscle power. I mean, you've seen little occasions here and there of him restraining Superman with a headlock. When you're strong enough to punch beings like Sinestro, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan tier type beings, it kind of makes sense that he says, you realize I'm more powerful than Superman, Sinestro. He straight up said it out of his mouth. He's more powerful than Superman. But even old comics imply he can punch as hard as Superman. Even Superman thinks so himself. So it's obvious that he can not only lift a lot of weight, but he can punch really hard. can make powerhouses like Supergirl bleed. Superboy Prime, somebody that's way stronger than the base form of Superman, he can send flying with a punch. I'm not saying he's on the level with him or nothing, but he can still do this to Kryptonian-esque type, centric type beings with his punches. Superboy Prime, a being that's ridiculously overpowered, that stated he could survive the Big Bang. Like, even though I'm not saying he's up there with Superboy Prime, the fact he sent him flying, even though this is how Superboy Prime treated Black Adam, talk about how his punches tickle, I think this is a good showing of his power. What do you know? Him slugfesting with Superman yet again. They're literally talking about physicals. They're using punches against each other. Brute physicals. Superman, a being that has punches that can split a moon in half. Superman stated to hit with the Force to shatter small planets, and claims he's capable of shattering a planet with punches. So Martian Manhunter being able to compete with him in his punching power and draw blood from him basically confirms his punches can tremble entire moons, punch moons apart, or even devastate the entire planet Earth itself with his punches. If he wanted to destroy the Earth, he could with a punch. Martian Manhunter can shape planets too, just like how Superman can, having the power to shapeshift, increase his mass. He can turn into a large dragon and attack and fly while it's a huge dragon. He rams into the moon and destroys the moon, apparently. It says, "We lost the moon." I mean, let's be honest, he'll always have the power to destroy the moon. You get the idea yet? Just like how Superman can fly through multiple planets back to back, Martian Manhunter has to be within this ballpark, so one could say he can do this too if he was put in the same circumstance. And I'm about 100% sure if somebody's grip strength is strong enough to hold a black hole that can destroy an entire solar system, I'm pretty sure their punches are even harder. So this implies Superman's punches are harder. That means Martian Manhunter's punches feel like worse than black holes as well. We know Martian Manhunter can punch and damage Superman, and he can withstand black hole pressures. Like, there was this like localized black hole generator field that was mimicking a big black hole, things that can destroy solar systems, and he can withstand this without getting splatted. And we know Martian Manhunter can damage Superman, the man, the myth, the legend himself with punches. This could imply that Martian Manhunter's punches feel worse than a black hole, or one can say more force than something that can destroy multiple planets. You know, black holes can get pretty devastating. Black Adam, somebody that's Superman-centric-esque. He can burn his face with his blast power from his eyes. Kryptonian tiers like Power Girl, who are ridiculously strong, have issues damaging Black Adam, while Martian Manhunter can damage and make him yell in agony. It lets you know how strong his blast power is when Kryptonians have issues damaging Black Adam. His blast can even stalemate Superman's heat vision. Mon-El, somebody that reminds me of Kryptonians and has similar abilities to him, we see Martian Manhunter's punching power to do this to him. Sleep tight. Not only can he damage these beings, but he can use his telekinesis to kind of hold powerhouses on this level in place. Shazam, or Captain Marvel, he can slugfest it. He was possessed, that's why his hairs are different color, just in case you're curious. Martian Manhunter physically can slugfest with a Superman-centric type being, taking full-blown punches from beings this strong. Like, it's not a hacksy thing either. It's straight physical muscles and straight physical punches he can handle Captain Marvel in. And we know Shazam can create black holes with his punching power. You guys already know how Superman and Shazam are comparable with each other. Their feats just get even crazier. Beings like Shazam are beings that can rock the universe, or one could say cosmos, with their heads. Like, it's one thing to shake a galaxy. Implications that Martian Manhunter powerhouses like Shazam, Superman can shake or tremble the entire universe is even crazier implications. Y'all remember that occasion where Martian Manhunter wasn't even at half strength? In newer type comics and Rebirth, different continuity, he can still withstand punches from Shazam, even though Shazam still has the strength of Hercules and all that good stuff. Black hole stuff aside, and cosmos trembling punches aside, you know how Shazam has like the strength of Hercules? You know how in mythology, there's like this little burden where they have to lift the sky or the heavens, something immeasurable weight, infinite weight, one could say a universe. It's implied that DC Hercules has to support this weight as well, just like Atlas and stuff. Like the myth, it's like the myth that they have to hold immeasurable weight. Shazam literally has the strength of Hercules. We know Martian Manhunter is comparable. Like, yeah, I know this is hard to fathom how DC has like a whole bunch of different universes, and the thought of Martian Manhunter being able to hold one of these universes on his back sounds ridiculous to even think about or fathom. But when you think about the history of the powerhouses in DC, this kind of adds up with how strong the other powerhouses are, and he has to be somewhere in their ballpark. And we're not even going to talk about his form where he actually surpassed their strength. Do you think Martian Manhunter has the physical strength to carry a universe if he wanted to, or two, or one in each hand or some crap? Since we know Shazam and Black Adam are similar in power, and we know Shazam literally has the strength of Greek myth heroes like Hercules, who can hold the heavens on his back, Martian Manhunter being somewhere in their ballpark, it kind of makes some sense, right? What more proof do you need? showing that he's comparable to the tanks of the league. The only real contradictory showing of him not being on the level with Superman and them is this occasion with Doomsday. Somebody we know is a match for Superman. We see him punch and land a couple hits on Doomsday, but it's quite clear he's not really on his level. Doomsday said he had power, but he's not Superman, implying that Superman got him by a decent margin, I guess. This one comic issue I don't think debunks Martian Manhunter being on somewhere in their ballpark. I find it interesting they have occasions like that in older comics, him struggling with Doomsday by himself, but you got occasions when Superman and Doomsday's put together and his punches can draw blood from him. I know this is a different continuity, but hey, writers don't want to make up their mind on what power level they want him at. Yes, Superman and Doomsday put together, he was able to damage him, but he can't fight Doomsday by himself. You know what, retcons, you gotta love him. To really show his power, Superman knockoff type versions of Superman himself. Like Ultraman, we see Martian Manhunter fly towards and shapeshift and even get the upper hand over him via shapeshifting. Somebody that's basically another version of Superman in the multiverse. They even talk about it in the guidebook, that even though Ultraman has beaten a white Martian, that doesn't mean he can necessarily beat Martian Manhunter, because Martian Manhunter technically got the advantage over him. Like, I know the League is not probably trying not to kill him and stuff, but when he uses all his powers together, he was able to fight multiple League members for a little while. Like, alongside another Martian, it was like 2v5, basically. Fighting multiple, he mixing in most of his different powers, like his punching, muscles, his strength, and everything put together. Superman punches him here. Wonder Woman tackles him here. This isn't technically Martian Manhunter controlling himself right now, but the fact that his body can do this to multiple leaguers, it kind of shows his power still. Blast power. Beings like Despero he pulls up on and punches him. Another occasion with Despero. Despero, a being that be fighting multiple top tiers, of course. Somebody we've seen multiple powerhouses like Power Girl, Wonder Woman, even Superman, Shazam team up on, and they still can't outright beat him with ease. Are you really shocked? In the newer comics, he's gotten in scuffles with Despero, this Team Buster type being, a psionic as well. A good way to understand his strength is to know for a fact that he's pretty much stronger than pretty much all your major white Martians. Just for quick reference, we've seen white Martians physically give characters like Wonder Woman major issues. White Martians can do this to Wonder Woman, so we've seen Martian and Manhunter wreck these white Martians physically. This just gives you a base on, the Martians in general are just strong, but Martian Manhunter can physically overpower them and punch them. This cosmic being that can hold the multiverse in her hands, Perpetua, punched Martian Manhunter, and he only had a bloody nose and was still awake after that. Taking a punch from a being that can basically wipe out the multiverse at will if she wished. This is unamped, and this is the type of characters these DC characters have to fight. I'm not saying Martian Manhunter is on the level with Perpetua or nothing, but taking a punch is pretty dang significant. I'm using this scan of Martian Manhunter looking like Mira, for example, in case you're wondering why Martian Manhunter looks like Mira. I mean, the DC cosmos is complex. Trembling the cosmos definitely doesn't seem like an exaggeration when you look at all this stuff put together.
Phased in Amazo's brain here and ripped it out.
Martian Manhunter is no stranger for using his speed in combat because he flies through beings. Like, even beings I've already brought up, like the white Martians, we see him like blitz through them with his speed, fighting him and blitzing through him at the same time. I mean, his muscle is already crazy, but when you can fly at these speeds, imagine getting rammed to at over 8 times the speed of light. Martian Manhunter can keep up with these kind of speeds. Like, you literally see him right here. This thing is going 8 times the speed of light, and he's able to catch up to it with flight speed. This is where he flew and anchored onto it with his telekinesis and stuff. We've seen him use his speed to break up tornadoes by flying in the opposite direction. He has crazy takeout speed to where he can vanish from your eyesight instantaneously and be gone. Like, no, it's not just straight line speed or flight speed in one direction. He can literally stare at the bullet coming at him, so he has the reflexes to move out the way of stuff like this. This is like reaction and fighting speed. Joker shenanigans when the characters are meant to fight each other. Martian the Manhunter and the Flash. Martian Manhunter's speed was able to fight the Flash in like a little cloud of, fighting speed or whatever. They were fighting like this, like a Toon Force cartoon. Let me stop. So he was keeping up with him in the speed until somebody said, you got to snap out of this. Obviously, I would still give Flash the speed advantage, but yeah, he couldn't just outright speed blitz him to the point where Martian Manhunter was helpless. You know what I mean? No matter if we're talking about Barry or Wally, you fighting any type of Flash, that's automatically confirmed you can react at way past speeds faster than light, because beings like the Flash can react in less than an attosecond, and Martian Manhunter can slugfest with him in speed without getting overwhelmed completely. So now that we know when it comes to raw speed, he can hang with the best of the best in DC, including characters like Wonder Woman, not just the Flash, but characters like Wonder Woman are ridiculously fast too, not even counting the Flash. She can't just outright speed blitz him, and we know Wonder Woman has some crazy showings of raw fighting speed, to where there was a whole bunch of shattered pieces of a god, the god shards, you know, she was able to deflect all this to the point where all these individual pieces, you can see her deflecting all of this BS all around the same section before it can even hit. I just let you know her. This is straight combat speed. People have calculated this to be trillions of times, even more faster than the speed of light. So imagine all this physical strength and crap, shape-shifting and stuff he has, but then he can punch this fast at you. Imagine that with a Gatling gun of hits. In this particular occasion, this is like a signing feat, but you can kind of get an idea of how fast Martian Manhunter is when he was mind-smashing a cosmic being. They talk about nanoseconds, zeptoseconds, and Planck time. It kind of shows his processing speed. Or if he wanted to, he can just build up momentum and fly at you at massively faster than the speed of light and let his mass do all the work of him just flying at you fast. Like, for example, we know the distance between two galaxies is vast. He doesn't even need to use his muscles against you, because all he would have to do is just use his flight speed and just ram at you at ridiculous speeds without even needing to really use his muscles, because we already know he can travel light years in an extremely short amount of time. So just the thought of him ramming at you at these ridiculous galaxy hopping speeds is just scary. And then he actually has strong muscles on top of it, but doesn't need it if he just hits you this hard. You know how there's a distance between Mars and Earth, 230 million miles, right? Distance like this seems to be irrelevant for somebody like Martian the Manhunter. He can fly from Earth all the way to Mars without much issues. Kind of shows his flight speed to further concrete and being faster than the speed of light. I think we can all agree that when Martian Manhunter is in this overpowered state, one can say this is a temporary power, because we're not going to see him do this again. But full potential unlocked Martian Manhunter, when he's not afraid of fire, can solo all your favorites, even Soups himself with his power. Not to mention having energy projection type of attacks. You see our boy Superman? Yeah, in this state, he's above Superman. Sorry. That's when you see him scuffle with Plastic Man. He can do what Martian Manhunter can normally do, grow in size, become bigger than buildings. Hard fought effort. Every member teaming up, trying to get John to go back to his senses. One can say he had to have a mental battle with himself to break free of this evilness. Alter Ego, on some Hulk type stuff, had to fight an inner battle and win to get his body back, get his psychic realm for himself back. One can say this is a temporary power, because he technically did lose it after it was all said and done. And that's when Martian Manhunter had to do the rest. He undid this evil him subconscious version of himself after it came out of his body, and he won the war apparently. But yeah, imagine if they bring this back in later DC stuff, because we probably won't see this again. But yo, full potential unlocked, evil alter ego, don't mess with Furnace. He was already strong in his base state, but this state was even crazier.
I mean, even if we're talking about old comic days, it doesn't matter which era we're talking about. Martian Manhunter still can punch and damage Superman type beings, no matter which era we're talking about, really. He's just that strong physically. You know, old day Superman was kind of ridiculous. He could withstand the weight of several galaxies. This Superman, Martian Manhunter can slug it with, can push himself to the center of a big bang. No matter which era we're talking about, Martian Manhunter's punches are just astronomically crazy, always being comparable to some of the top tiers of DC like Superman. Matter of fact, in old comics, one could say he's completely equal to pre-crisis Superman, because when he shapeshifted into Superman, he actually gained all his power. But when they used gold kryptonite on him, it messed him up. It stated when he became Superman, he gained his immunity to fire because he actually got his abilities, but kryptonite affected him, and like he actually got Superman's abilities. And you guys know pre-crisis Superman can definitely delete a universe or tremble universes with an S. So Martian Manhunter can slugfest with Superman even back in these days before he mimicked his powers, but then he can just straight up mimic his power. But without mimicking his power, he was still able to slugfest it with Superman's tears anyway, without having to use his power anyway. So yeah, even back in these days, his body was still durable enough for bullets can bounce off of him, and had the strength to knock you out with a finger flick. Yeah, but without even counting the pre-crisis stuff, he's still ridiculously strong, still strong enough to tremble galaxies and stuff like that with his strength. But how strong do you think he is? How hard do you think he can hit? Did you know he can do all this stuff in this video like I showed you? Did you know he had all this strength? You probably didn't, because people underestimate him. Because he doesn't have the most flashy feats, but when it comes to battle feats, he has clear writer intent. But before I get going, everybody, I gotta say thanks for the donations, everybody. This video was a nightmare to make. Hope you guys enjoyed. Respect Martian the Manhunter.
I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.